Keeping you updated with the latest news, views, and interviews.
News, views, and interviews
from around the world.
This is the Top 5.
Top 5. Top 5. Top 5.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone can get COVID-19.
Anyone can get the vaccine to defeat COVID-19.
What's your choice?
Take your best shot.
Get vaxxed. It's your best shot. Hello.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Hello. Welcome to the Top 5. Thank you for joining us today. Today is going to be a hot Sunday. We have many great topics to talk to you about. Before you go any further, please like and share and tell us that you're sharing. Tell us where you're joining us from today. Ladies, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm coming to you from Toronto. The weather is beautiful. It's hot, and I have no complaints about the wonderful weather. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm coming to you straight from Atlanta. The weather here is about 80 to 85 degrees, and I cannot wait to go outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. Hello, everyone.
Hi, I'd like to introduce Odette. Odette, can you please show us who you are? Introduce yourself to the Top 5 crew.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Odette. I'm from Grenada, and we've got beautiful weather. We have a nice mix of rain for the last couple of days and some sunshine. Grenada is the place to be.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Big hello to Johnson and Johnson, to Kimo Frederick, and also Veronica Edwards, who's watching from Grenada. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, everyone.
I want to show off a little bit too. So I'm joining you from Jamaica today. So I'm just everything is Irie in Jamaica. Everything is nice. Everything is sweet. Everything is just wonderful here. So I'm just blessed to be able to be doing this great program that we like to come out so we can talk about hot topics with you. We have some great topics today. We're going to touch on where we are after a year of George Floyd's passing. We want to talk about your mother-in-law. Where does she sit? Is she in the back seat or is she up front? And where is she when you get married? Where does she fit into the picture? We're also going to talk about what you guys love to talk about, is stuff that has to do with love. We're going to be talking about, can a woman love more than one man at one time? And can love be fate? Okay, so we have some great topics in here for you today to share with us, to get your comments on. We love your comments. We love for you to call in. The number to call in is 718-701-5720. If you want to comment, we love you guys to comment. Happy Sunday to everybody. Nixon Mitchell, big up to you. Donlyn Roberts, thank you for Grenada. Thank you for watching us today. We are happy to have you all. So ladies, the first thing I want to talk about on the Top 5 is we reflected on the death of George Floyd when he passed on May 25th. And it's been a year. It's been a year. A lot has happened in 2020. A lot has gone down. You know, the whole movement of people recognizing more of what it is to really be Black in America. And it didn't only happen in America. What happened with George Floyd and his unfortunate death at the hands of Derek Chauvin, it touched the whole entire world. So I want to ask you ladies, where are we now, and what have you seen in your neck of the woods that has shown whether the compass has moved forward or has nothing changed? What do you think?
Don't everybody all speak at once.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me in Toronto, it's been a eye-opening experience. I would say there's a lot more awareness about you know, what happens in the workplace and in schools and in society in general, and how Black people are treated, and opportunities might be less than other races. So we're seeing some changes in place. There are more opportunities being made available financially to Black people in the banks. And again, it's created an awareness. People are now developing diversity policies to have in the workplace. And when you have an issue, you know, dealing with racism in the workplace, people are more open to talk about it and discuss disparities that people are seeing. So I think the change has been good for us, and we just have to maintain that momentum to continue to receive equality and push forward with our rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For me, what I see, I saw a big change in my workplace. We're more diverse. We actually created a whole committee called the diverse community. I can't remember. It's some diverse. There's another name there. And to bring more awareness, a lot of us shared our stories. Black Americans as well as Caribbean, as well as African, because that's the community we have at work. So, and a lot of people understand, you know, a lot of people at least try to understand where we were coming from. Some people were very shocked at the stories of what we have to go through. The things that might be simple to them might be simple for us. So, as Joe says, we created more awareness. Even the CEO is there in that group, and he's making stride, you know, to even increase you know, the pay rate for some of the workers we have in the field. And you know, on the job, I see a change. Where I am, I don't know if there is a big change yet. I just think people are just trying to listen to our story a little bit more and try to understand. So that's what I'm getting. I mean, deaths, you know, even, I mean, when I open my phone, I'm still seeing a lot of I mean, it's not police on Black people's dead, but it's still a lot of Black on Black crime and a lot of teenagers. Like, I was in New York for a long time, and every time I open my phone, it's like 6 people died, or 4 people died, or 2 Black men died, and it was just saddening. It just saddened me when I saw that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, if we need more education within our community. I mean, some of them was accident. Like this morning, there was an accident with 2 22-year-olds playing with a gun, and the friend actually shot him in his neck. So it's kind of like, what can we do about our own, you know, our own community, especially like in Brooklyn? Like, how can we do to motivate the teenagers, the, you know, just the young people, to look out for each other instead of like killing each other for, like, just, you know, the reasons are just, when you see the reasons, it's just so ridiculous. Like, it might be a family COVID fight that started and he ended up in gunfire because now everybody could go out now, so it's like retaliation. So I think there is a little change, just slowly. I don't think we're gonna have a big change, you know, immediately. I think in 5 years we probably will see like the biggest change, but it's like a slow progression. That's what I predict.
Yeah. Odette, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this topic, and how has this movement and this this death of George Floyd affected people in Grenada, sorry.
I think it was interesting taking the view from the outside looking in. When the protest, march, and rally was actually held outside the US Embassy in St. George's, that made me and a lot of people sit up and take note, because in the past, whatever happened in the US, that was a US business. But I think we saw this coming together of even blacks and whites. There were some white people who attended the rally, and I think really the message came into us, and then it became like a flashpoint for things that happened here. We would remember the incident when the construction worker would have accidentally killed the dog, and we saw the big protest that came into that triggered sensitivity about the issue. And even more importantly for me, I had just come from the UK not too long ago to complete my master's. And when I saw what happened with the toppling of the statue of the slave trader Edward Colston into the river, I was like, wow. And I mean, Brighton, where I studied in East Sussex, and to saw the mass of people who congregated there to send the message that they'd had enough of the killing of Black people in the US. It became a global movement. And if we fast forward, I know the question is how to move the needle. I'm impressed with some of what I'm seeing. So, for instance, we know that Black Wall Street, we saw President Biden on Tuesday fly into Tulsa, Oklahoma, to mark the 100th anniversary. And it was very interesting that, he came out and he spoke against it, and he said that for too long, the history of what took place here was told in silence and cloaked in darkness. My fellow Americans, this was not a riot. This was a massacre, and among the worst in our history, but not the only one. I think that spoke volumes to me, because I've never heard an American president speak out against it. We saw President Trump try to do last year. It was a slap in the face of Black people for him to try to have this rally there last year in the lead up to the election. And I think President Biden really sent a strong message that America has voted, and America know that it will take care of all of the citizens, Black and white. I love President Obama. Do not say anything bad about that man. I love him. But I think somebody got a sense that he was being too cautious because he was worried about being re-elected or not being elected. But he did set the legacy, though, that Biden could now say, I will speak up about this, because for too long, what took place here was told in silence, and it was cloaked in darkness.
I think you made a fantastic point. We're all waiting to see what this 4 years holds with Biden in charge. Like I said, everything is baby steps. For me personally, in the circles that I work with, or the people that I am in contact with and I do business with, they're not necessarily talking about what goes on. So I'm working among a lot of white people, Jewish people, different people, usually the only one in the room, the only Black person in the room. So having conversations about, about how these things are affecting Black people, these things are not being said out loud. I think a lot of people have a lot of feelings. There's a lot of shame. White people feel a lot of embarrassment and shame about what's going on, and they don't really know how to directly address these things, especially speaking one-on-one with another Black person. It becomes that elephant in the room. And that's where we need to break this elephant down and make it down to a cockroach size so that we can stamp on it and we can openly say, there it is. That is racist. This is wrong. And everybody can say it, not just me feeling it, and not you feeling it and knowing that somebody's being treated wrong but not speaking up for it. So I can say from my personal circles and the people that I interact with, the conversations are not being had like that. In my business, I definitely promote diversity, and I want everybody to win. So I'm rooting for everybody. Once you're good at what you do, I'm rooting for you, and I want to give everybody a chance to shine in their own way. What I have seen at things like at Target and Walmart and at Macy's, I was at Macy's the other day, I think last week sometime, I was trying to get a few things. I noticed that they're highlighting a lot of Black designers, and you'll see like they'll have like a display of, a couple of pieces, like the line of a new designer, and they're highlighting Black designers in the store. So trying to push that business push is going on. And I think all of those things are really great because, there's a lot of talk about reparations and things like that, but it's not only going to come in a financial, like giving a payout for the things that have happened wrong to Black Americans, but opportunity, increasing opportunity and leveling the playing field so that everybody will have the opportunity to do the best that they can. Because a lot of white people, they never really understood what their privilege is. Because if you've always had privilege, you don't have any barriers. You don't know what it is to be passed up for a job, or you want to go to a school, but you can't go because you're Black, or all these other things that our color seems to create a barrier for us. So until we get to a point where we can break down some of that stuff, I think we have a long way to go. George Floyd didn't die in vain. He died for a reason, to show us who we are and where we need to go. And I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful for my kids as well as for myself that we can see something that looks like real change and somewhat closer to what this so-called American dream is supposed to be about.
I think one of the greatest things about this whole experience is that it has made the whole world look at the treatment of Black people with a wider lens. And we are discovering that there's Black people in the Philippines, Black people in Portugal, Black people in France, Black people in Brazil, all over the world. And all of them have a very unique experience where they have to work twice as hard as anybody else to achieve the same thing. So it's now we're looking at Black people with a different lens. And we are smart, we are intelligent, we are creators, we are philosophers, we're doctors, we're scientists, and things that historically were not recorded are now coming out. Black people have done and made some fantastic contributions to society, whether it's in agriculture, science, literature. Black people are there, and I love that this recognition is coming out. It's good to show our sons and our daughters to seek higher learning, and also not to be so judgmental of each other also. And where you are the so-called token Black person at work, this is giving people a voice to say, well, this is unfair. We need to have a discussion. And these people need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the discussion is now, not later. That's my 2 cents.
I just want to pull some comments here. We have Kathy Banks lagging. She says Target has a great selection of Black-owned products. They do. Absolutely agree with that. And Samantha Latham says conversation is avoided like plague at work. Again, being the token, I usually speak my mind regardless of the white majority. And that is exactly what you should do. Just be yourself, speak your mind, because you can't be fired, or you shouldn't be. Now people are recognizing that they have to have the same sensitivity that they have for other people, for us too. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would just like to switch gears, because we have a lot of hot topics to talk about. We got mother-in-laws to talk about and lots of stuff about love. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Keeping you updated with the latest news, views, and interviews.
News, views, and interviews
from around the world.
This is the Top 5.
Top 5. Top 5. Top 5.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages, and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.
Hey, welcome back everyone for part 2 of the Top 5. Like and share the program, everybody. We're going to move into a different topic right now. So for those of you who have boyfriends or husbands, you might have experienced this. So the question is, if you're going out to dinner with your husband and your mother-in-law, and your mother-in-law hops in the front seat, should you be mad? Would you be mad?
Well, I had that experience recently on my trip to New York. Personally, I don't care. I really don't care who sits where. But we were going to the funeral, and Derek picked up his mom, and he came and picked me up after, and his mom was in the front seat, and I was going to the side, and she like, okay, so they know me as Jane, so they're like, no, Jane, no, you come and sit in the front, that's where you belong. And she was trying to get up, and I was like, no, you sit in the front. And like, no, and she was insisting I said go into the front, and I was like, no, you have on a pretty dress, you sit in the front. So she sat in the front, but when we was going,
I understand. I think we lost Hermelin for a second. Are you back? Yeah. Well, Hermelin, I mean, you're very gracious to allow your mother-in-law to sit in the front seat and not be upset about it. But for some people, that's like a topic of war. Kathy Banks Lagging says, is she a nice mother-in-law or a rude mother-in-law? So that might have some bearing as to whether or not you would take the back seat. Julian, what do you think about that?
I think if she's rude, she's going to sit in the back seat. But if she calls shotgun, I'm not going to fight her over the front seat. She did her job to bring the man I love into this world. So I'm not going to disrespect her by getting on over the front seat. The kicker there is if the airbag goes out, she gets it in the face and I don't. So there are added reasons why it's good not to sit in the front. With all respect, it's not really a big deal to me. I would ask my mother-in-law if she wants to sit in the front of the car. It's not a big deal. If it's my mother and the front is easier to get in than the back seat, I would certainly give I would expect my husband to give up the front seat and let me drive and let me and my mother drive in the car. That's a different spin on it.
Yeah. So sorry guys, I got cut off for some reason. I see Rachel saying here that's just one journey. I wouldn't be mad, but if she's doing it to be disrespectful and it's a regular thing, then mama needs to step back. I really don't care. It could be one journey, it could be 20 journeys. I figure his mother is already elderly, like she's going like spend your time with your son and drive in the front. Who cares? I don't really care. Like spend some time with him. Like how many times like do mothers and sons really hang out together? So it's usually like on occasions, a wedding, a funeral, if they really have to go out with them. So it's on occasions. Unless she's living with you, then maybe that's the difference. But I still don't care. Even if she's living with me, I'm just like, I don't like driving in the front anyway. So that's my excuse to be in the back. So I don't care. I really don't. I personally, I'm not going to make it a big deal. I'm not going to make this come in my relationship and destroy something, that is unnecessary. I think some of us are just too territorial and just too want to be on top of everything. We have to always remember a mother's love, a son love for his mother and a son love for his wife is two different kind of love.
Lucy JJ says she would remove she at the front seat and place them nicely outside. That sounds like a rude mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law so much. She could sit in it. I would sit on her lap and we'll wrap up together in our seatbelt and drive down the street. That's how much I love her. So I have no problem. What about you, Miss Grenada? I want to hear from you.
I want to hear your perspective.
I think it's a non-issue really, and I guess it's because I have a very wonderful mother-in-law who for several years I would go on Sunday mornings and pick her up and drop her to church when my husband isn't available because of my reason of work. I always we call her grandma because she's a really wonderful grandmother to my children. So grandma always gets the preferred place. If I'm going somewhere and I'm driving down the road and I see her coming out of a gap because she's going, I would make sure that I stop. I mean, she's in age now, and so she has some problems with her feet. I would make sure I take my time, make sure she gets into the car. So it's a non-issue. But however, I know that it might sound all nice and dandy for those of us who enjoy good relationships with our mothers-in-law, but I know there are cases where there's some really mean mothers-in-law and they don't get along with their daughters-in-law. So if I have a rude mother-in-law, there's no way she's gonna sit in front. It's a non-issue for me. If she's rude,
if she's rude, it's not happening.
Not happening.
We have Samantha Latham. She says, if the mother-in-law hates me, she's definitely riding in the back. And if the hate is strong, she's not riding with me, period.
you know that what Calypso that say, that can walk in here tonight.
Yep, she would have to stay out completely. I mean, I think some men some men have very strong attachments to their mothers that can become problematic for a relationship if you're trying to build a relationship with somebody who's very attached to their mother and their mother knows this. So in situations like that, I can see how it can become very problematic. The car is probably the least of the problems, because if you have a man who is basically like a mama's boy, and you're trying to make this mama's boy your husband or your boyfriend, and mommy's always there, that could be a very big challenge. And for people who have those situations, good luck to you. But that's a tough one. Yes.
Landy, I wanted to say, like, we are going to be those mothers. We are going to be those mothers in 10 years. So let's flip the script. We have sons, right? Are we preparing our sons and letting go of our sons so they could go enjoy their relationships? So we have to learn from those mother-in-laws that are acting up now, because in 10 years, we're going to be those mothers.
That's true. That's very true.
Are we raising mama's boys? Are we raising totalitarian mothers that is like, okay, this is my son and I'm gonna sit in the front and I'm gonna think. So whether the girl is nice or not, this mother is just there as a stronghold, because nobody prepares us, right, to let go of our sons. No one prepares us to let go of our children, especially our sons. I remember one day 2 years ago in my living room, picturing Daniel walking out with his 2 little suitcases, probably moving in with either his wife or his girlfriend, and I started to cry. Because nobody prepares us for that. That's a hard thing for a mother to let go of her child. When you remember how you raised that child, the struggles and stuff like that. And I think that's a conversation we as mothers should start having. How do we let go of our sons? Because we could be messing up good relationships for them as well. So that, and it's and I talk to Daniel about it all the time. I'm like, I so not prepared for you to leave yet. And he's 24. So, like, are you going to come and see me? Are you going to call me? Are you going to just take your girlfriend or your wife and move to another state? See, I'm getting emotional, right? Are you going to check in on me? Like, if I get old, are you going to put me at home? Like, are we having those conversations right now? It's hard. I don't care what you guys say. It's hard, even though it's a good son. And he's because there are women that will come into their life and see that son is good to their mom and not encourage that. Instead of that, they try to pull the son away from their mom, being jealous. Like with Derek, I encourage him. I like when he go take his mom to the grocery store. I like when he go take his mom to the laundry. I like when he's go, this is what you should do. He's, it's not like repaying, like, there is a conversation on the internet. Oh, children do not have to repay their parents. Yes, but it's good to show respect to the parent that raised you, especially if you start a struggle. So I like when he spend times with his mom and do these things, so he could have a good memory when she go on to the other side.
Another thing that I would like to say is that when you see how a man treats his mother, you know that they will treat you well also. That has been my experience with my mother-in-law. She felt that she didn't lose her son. She gained a daughter. And me and her, we had such a close, amazing relationship. She was just so giving. Like I said, I would give her up the front seat. She could take the whole car. We'd buy a car for her. She was that amazing as a mother-in-law. And for those of you who don't experience that, I pray for you, because a mother-in-law is a mother-in-law. Whether they're good, bad, or ugly, they're yours to keep. And you're very blessed when you have a good one.
Agrees with you. She says exactly. If we have any callers that have any comments, anybody that'd like to call in to express their comment about this topic, once again, the number is 718-701-5720. So now we want to get into something a little bit more juicy. So I want to ask you ladies, do you think that when you fall in love, do you think that you fall farther away from your personal goals? Does love get in the way of you doing you? Or can it? Odette, do you have any comments on that?
Let's Odette go first.
I think it does, definitely. You have found yourself in a place of compromise. I can talk about myself. I'm a wife and I have 3 children. Thank God they're now 3 adult children. But along the way, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. I remember when I had my first child, it became very problematic for me at work because my supervisor, who knows that all of my life I've always been a very committed worker, and I'm not tapping myself on the shoulder unduly so. I've always been a very committed person. If it's raining and I tell you I'm going to come and get you across the river, I will. That's the kind of person I am. So after being so committed and he understood what my living arrangement was in terms of my husband, we both shift work. And it was fine all the time. And then all of a sudden, he just got stupid, if you ask me. And he became very difficult and would schedule me for the times he knows that my husband was working the midnight shift and there'd be nobody to see after my children. So it became very problematic. And I love journalism. It's been my passion. It's what I've done all my life. I've had to leave it and park it up for family reasons. And so, yes, I had to give up a lot of things that I liked. Doing my job. I did public relations at the National Insurance for 5 years to give my children some time to grow. And there are times when there are things I want to do for me, but my husband probably doesn't quite understand. And sometimes I have to compromise because when you're married, it calls for compromise. And if you want your family and your marriage to work. So yes, I definitely believe it does.
With your goals. I would tend to agree with that too, because I know my mother, she always used to say boys and school don't mix and to stay away from boys. And she was right. I never really, there's some kids who get into having boyfriends when they're like 13 and stuff like that. But I didn't really seriously think about boyfriends until maybe like 18, 19, going up that way. And the games that you get wrapped into and the emotional roller coasters and all that kind of stuff. I remember I was in university and trying to focus on my schoolwork and having a relationship that wasn't working very well, and all the ups and downs and sideways. It was really, really hard for me. There's some people who are very good at putting everything in nice boxes, like you can put your emotional feelings in one box, but when I'm in a relationship, it can affect everything. I can't think straight. I can't do my work. I can't study properly. It just becomes like it could wreak havoc on your entire life. So I think my mother told me a lot of things in life, and that one statement that boys and school don't work, it still applies to men. When if you don't know how to compartmentalize certain things, you can really get torn up and you could really lose a lot because you're trying to love somebody. Yeah.
No, you know something? You're right, because it works right now, Landy, because I was in New York, right? I spent all this week in New York and I was not productive. I didn't work on editing my book. I didn't work on my workbooks. I hardly post. I didn't do much live. I was just wrapped up in the, hanging out or watching the movies. You see, I watching Tyler Perry series. And I thought I was this good balanced person. Like, yeah, I'll have our time and I'll do this. No, that did not happen. That's why I'm going back home. It did not happen. I was just wrapped up in a relationship and doing things. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's order food. Let's this and nothing. I didn't do anything what I was supposed to do for my coach. Nothing.
I'm seeing
all your time, all your energy.
Yeah, I'm seeing a message from Rachel Charles, and she says, my results on my first degree would have been better if I wasn't chasing man. Oh my gosh, that just brings me back to my university days. And I went to university first, and then I went to college. But my year in university was phenomenal. I went to York University, which was known as Party Central in Toronto, with lots of international students from all over the Caribbean. It was my first time being around so much Caribbean people, and I partied like crazy. I didn't even think of my degree at that time, but luckily I settled down and became a nurse. But it was a fabulous experience. I wouldn't say I was just chasing love. I was just chasing parties and having a good time and being a good girl, not good girl gone bad.
Sure.
But yeah, it's true. Like when I was separated from my husband, I chose not to be in a relationship and focus on raising my children for like 6 years, because I think it was a distraction. I didn't have the time to be on the phone giggling, going, yeah. I remember, like, I really didn't have time for that. And I didn't want to be distracted. And I just figured I would just pour that time into my children. So I think for me, I guess I'm learning about myself that I could only focus on one thing at a time.
Well, Samantha Latham says women make too much sacrifice in the name of love, and especially when there are children involved. But you have to recharge your life and continue to juggle 7 things at the same time. Women are known to multitask, and I think love is one of the things that we learn to multitask because we really don't have a choice. That's an expectation of us, and that's how our brain works. We know how to do the laundry, cook the dinner, read a book, study, and that's some of the great things that we can do as women. But yes, we do need to reboot ourselves. Love does make things go crazy at times, and you need to refocus and settle down. And when kids are involved, that's an additional layer of responsibility that you have to take very seriously.
Well, my last piece of advice is don't mix man with your goals, because they can take you far away from what you need to get. And men will always come and go. And when you're flat on your face and you're looking for this man to help you, he's not going to be there. So you need to make sure that you get your things together for yourself. I find that above all else, make sure that you have yourself good.
But Landy, I beg to differ. Sometimes man is the goal. And then what happens then? Look at your Housewives of Atlanta and the whole situation that's going on there with Portia and Fairlane, or Fairlane, whatever her name is. Do you remember we were talking about that a week ago?
Yeah.
A week and a half ago. Yep. Men can be a hindrance, but you need to check yourself and be at the top of your game, whatever you're bringing to it.
Like Portia?
Well, Portia's going home with the man.
Yes, she is.
Right?
She's going home with the man.
Portia is going home with the man. Apparently, the other young lady was cheating with her administrative assistant, and now she's pregnant for him. So her husband turned around and took her best friend. Only in America.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about the situation that arose a couple weeks ago with Portia from Housewives of Atlanta. Apparently, she was dating her friend's husband on the side, and now they're going to be getting married after a month of dating. So the wife of the man, she is saying that she had a relationship with somebody else. So everybody's loving everybody else. I don't know what's going on. People are not wasting time. They're looking for what works for them as quickly as possible. But that leads me to the next question.
Check Rachel comments, Landy.
Yes, that leads me to the question, can love be fake? So before we dive into that, I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Don't move. Top 5 will be right back.
David Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Okay, all right. Thank you for hanging in with us here. I want to big up Rachel Charles. She says, "LOL, if man is the goal, then you're on track to success." Yes. if that is your goal, and for some people it is their goal. For some people that is their absolute goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about love. And if you're looking to be in a relationship with somebody, can you fake love?
Like you're fake loving a person to get where you want to be?
To get where you want to be.
Well, they probably just like. It might be fake love, but it might be deep likeness.
I think women are capable of doing anything if they have more of an ulterior motive, with maybe catching a man who has money or who's inheriting something. There are certain undertones to relationship where, yes, they certainly can fake it.
Fake it till you make it?
Fake it till you make it.
What
I
guess. I don't believe in fake love. I think love is something that people misconstrue and misunderstand. I just think that there are some people out there who have objectives. Like some people say, I go to university, and they make it clear that I go to university to have a good time. My son told somebody that I am not studying, mommy. Mommy's sending me to college for me to get education. I want to go and experience other college life. It's like, so he didn't fake it. He said what his objective was, but I made sure that my objective won out because I was paying the money. So when we come to love, like somebody said, they may figure the man has wealth and they want to get at his wealth. So they may tell him they love him. I don't think they're faking. They know in their heart of hearts, the man probably was none the wiser, or vice versa. The man knows probably all he wants is a good time in bed, and he would hang around with the woman and tell her that he loves her. So I don't think it's a matter of we could fake it, or maybe some people say, yes, well, they faked it. Somebody got duped. But I think love is a very strong word. It has strong connotations and meaning, and I think that love is love and cannot be faked.
So that leads me to the question, what really is love? Because, and that's that thing, I think love is something that could be subjective, because somebody can love somebody because they have wealth. You love the wealth, and the wealth it's attached to this person, so you love that person because that person is going to give you wealth. What do you ladies say about that?
Oh boy.
You don't love them. You don't love them because they have wealth. You are targeting them because they have wealth.
You're targeting them, yes. Well, but because you love money and he's your target, so you know what? It's all wrapped up into one nice package. And if he happens to look good and he's got the money, then I could see why not. Why wouldn't you love him? Because he's got all the things that you're looking for.
No,
money is the root of all evil. For the love of money.
I agree.
Landy, I disagree with you somewhat, right? I think I am going more with the treatment, how you treat me, because a man with a lot of money could treat you really bad and disgusting, and then you're unhappy. He's cheating on you because he know you're with him for the money, so there's no faking there. He knows. He may not be saying anything, but you is, nighttime patsy, so he's having a good time with you while you think you taking his money. He's probably building a life with somebody else. He's probably talking to somebody else too, because he knows what you're in for. I'm judging him on the treatment, so my love is going to be based on how you treat me.
I think I see Rachel Charles is saying it may come undone, and how long can you keep up the pretense? There is a saying that love is blind, deaf, and dumb. And you may see certain people in relationship and you'll say to yourself, how the heck did she end up with him? Or how did he end up with her? It's love is unexpected, it's unpretentious, but people will have diabolical objectives for falling in love with certain people, especially when there's money involved, because poor people fall in love too. There's no financial strata that you have to be in to experience love. It is a human it's a human thing that we do. And they say so-called love conquers all, but there are people out there who can fake it, and they really give it a bad name. I see Samantha is out there saying love is unconditional regardless of money, and Morris is saying, so when the wealth vanishes, will you still be in love?
Exactly.
No, that's why they have this thing called divorce.
It's love with conditions, right? It's love with conditions.
Love with conditions.
But I mean, okay, you want the wealth and you want the money, but how much things money could give you in the end? How much travel you're gonna travel? How much designer clothes you're gonna have? How much money you're gonna have to give to charity? At some time, it's still gonna come down to the basic love. You want to be cuddled, you want to be kissed on the forehead, kissed on the cheek, made love to, and spend time with. So you could have all that. You see, a lot of these people have all this money, but they don't have the basic thing in the relationship. So they still go out and find it somewhere else. So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, you could get the money, but
money isn't everything. It's not everything. And housewives of Atlanta and New York does not represent everything. I would like to see housewives of Flatbush and see how the mother from the West Indies struggles in her home with her husband. His eye is too fast and he's drinking alcohol and making pass at her friend and stuff like that. Or somebody who's struggling as a single mother, housewives of Grenada. Pick your top street in Grenada. How do those housewives experience things? Housewives of England in High Wycombe. How are those housewives doing? It doesn't always have to be rich and famous, because love and trying to manage a household goes throughout the whole strata of society. It'd be interesting to see the struggles of other people.
If you look at Bill and Melinda Gates, right?
Prime example. Excellent. That's an example that money does not buy you everything. Why did they break up? Was he fooling around on her?
I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but I mean,
stories no. So the reports have surfaced now that he had relationships with Microsoft employees, and also I think they said 2 years ago she raised concern about his relationship with Epstein, the guy with who was involved with those young girls, and she told him she was uncomfortable about it, and he persevered. And then we've seen a lot of things come out about reports where he met with him. He tried to get the peace award that they do at Oslo that President Obama won. He tried to get it and made a visit to Europe with somebody who he thought, that same gentleman who he thought could have secured him the award. So she seemed to have ethics, and a lot of it apparently came out that she was going on the side of ethics, but he was going after what the human ego and man's ego wanted.
Okay. So he was in the bunch with the young 15 and 16-year-olds then.
No, they made it clear that he was not involved, but by reason of association, she thought he was being tainted, and she told him she was uncomfortable with it. But he from what the report said.
Well, a lot of those rich people just be up to some real kinky stuff anyway. So I'm sure that maybe a couple years from now we'll get the real deal. He looks like a nerd, but you never know what people are doing behind closed doors.
I mean,
you never ever know.
Tyler Perry, the Oval, trust me, you could just see what they're up to.
Yeah. Money buys everything and takes the limits off the impossible. These people will experiment and do anything.
Right?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And think that money can buy everything.
Yeah.
I know. I'm asking Derek. I say, you think this thing really happened in real life? He's like, yes. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I don't think I want to be super rich like that, because this is some crazy stuff. Because the more money you have is the more like stuff you get into.
Yep. And with the social media that we have today, nothing stays private for too long.
No.
There's always someone who's speaking up, whose rights were violated, who didn't feel right and needs to get justice. So it always comes around. Yeah,
that's true. That is
People
true.
need to behave themselves.
I know. So one of the last questions, I know, back to this love thing again. Is it
Love thing, yeah.
possible? Is it possible for a woman to love two people at the same time? I'm not talking about children, whether two women or two men or a woman and a man. Is it possible to actually love two people?
That sounds really tiring. One is good enough. One is good enough. If you want your relationship to last, I think you should commit to one person and keep your tail quiet.
Yeah, but your vagina could be in love with one person, but your heart is with another person. So what do you do?
Whoever put the ring on it, stay with it.
I like that one. I like that one, Julie.
What do you do if you have two no ring situations? What do you do?
Oh, two no rings.
Well, they could do whatever they want.
No rings.
If you have two no rings, you gotta find another one that you could love that has everything.
No rings. I don't know. I think you could probably love someone and you just like the other a lot. I don't think you could love, because that would be like a lot of work to love two people, satisfying two people. Because I think just like, let me put it, whether it's cheating or whether it's open relationship, I mean, that dynamic is still tiring, you know? I mean, because I think one you will probably be most sexually active with, and the other one you'll just be talking to.
I see Losi JJ says you love one and you prefer the other. Losi, you're making my head hurt.
Because you know that probably make more sense, JJ. That probably makes sense because I can't because I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, one is enough. One is already too much right at this time.
Would you remember that there's a song torn between two lovers and feeling like a fool?
Right?
Yes, that's a fantastic song.
Well, Samantha says, sure, you can love two where the other lacks, the other person will make up.
But then I guess you have women with high libido, so it's like I mean, kudos to them. They could juggle it. I mean, there are people who are in open relationship or poly relationships. Even though those dynamics are coming out to have a lot of drama in it, but they probably need something. I don't know, Landy. I'm still trying to think. You know, I'm open-minded, but I'm still trying to figure out, because I think even in a poly relationship, everything still goes on sex, like sex, and there is the sex and the jealousy and attention. So if you have two men, I think like that would eliminate it, but no, it doesn't. They still want the love of the two men. They want the sex with the two men or the two women or whatever it is, and they want the love of the two people. So I think sometimes we as women want a lot.
But then who says? I think we're taking a lot of things for granted and we're jumping the gun. Who says that love has to involve sex? You may have somebody. I think all of us have the capacity to love. I think we have become corrupt as adults. So in our teenage years, when we're not yet involved with people, we have relationships, we have friends. And I think that sometimes we just narrow it down to sex. And I don't think that sex always has to play a role in relationships. And you might find people who are in relationships, but they don't necessarily need sex. And I know it sounds far-fetched, but it isn't. I know of friends who have those kinds of relationships. Sometimes all people want, and sometimes they get older. Sometimes all they want is companionship. They want somebody who will cook some food for them. And so you might be surprised. I was speaking with my doctor the other day, and she said so that you might be surprised to know how many young men are suffering from erectile dysfunction, and they don't necessarily will use Viagra. So I'm just saying, I don't want us to take this in a box and narrow it down to, well, and we're thinking that it's people who are actively engaged in sexual relationships. I think that people have the capacity to love. It's a matter of what you do with. Let's just say you have people who are married and people who are interested in sex. I think that if you follow the Bible and the scriptures, which talk to us about the fruits of the Spirit, one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. So yes, I'm not saying that you won't have the urge probably to have sex, but who says that even if you have the urge that you don't have to exercise self-control and don't have the ability and capacity to exercise self-control? So I don't think we should narrow this down into a box and say, well, once you see these two people and they talking, or they're always going somewhere, it's because they're having sex. Just saying.
I agree with you totally. I agree with you. There are people who maybe have an attraction on an intellectual basis, and the importance of companionship and having someone to talk to. Sometimes people may not share the same beliefs, so you need to have the other person outside as someone, as your sounding board, just to sound some ideas off. It doesn't mean you have to have a sexual relationship with them, but at the same time, you're in a meaningful friendship that if other people looked at it, they may judge. If they see you, say, for example, you go out to dinner and somebody sees you there and they're like, oh, look at her out with so-and-so, that's not her husband, but it's your friend. And if your husband is aware of the friendship and you're not hiding anything, then that's good.
Yeah, and then we have to look at the age of the woman too, the age. You know, somebody in their 20s and somebody in their 40s, 50s might be looking for two different things. So, I mean, to each his own. Because I totally agree with you, Odette, but I still do believe, like, with the age thing, like the groups I peak in, you know, sex is a big thing for them because that's what they argue about. Like, oh, this one is getting more than me and this one is getting less than me, and I'm jealous of that. So I think probably the age, because the age might be like between 21 and 29, where in another group where it's between 40 and 60, where they're looking for more companionship and more friendship and less of sex.
But is it more acceptable for a man to have his wife and then have his girlfriend and say, well, I love them equally, and both of them are saying no problem with that? How is that different now?
I know, right? Like, that wasn't the question, Jules. That wasn't the question. That question is for next week.
But if a woman can do it with two male friends, then why is it different when a man has two female friends?
Because in the Caribbean society, that type of behavior has become acceptable, and it's not. You know,
but that becomes acceptable. What if we are going against the norm? What if the norm is having multiple relationships, and somewhere the law was changed and they bring it to one man, one woman? Because if one man, one woman was, to me, was something that we needed to do, like, why we fighting so much? Like, maybe back even before the Bible, weren't men and women having multiple partners?
I don't know. But you know, the marriage puts a lot of constraints on people, and people can't really they can't uphold them because they feel like it's like a, I don't know, like it's like a straitjacket. That's why we have so much problems with divorce and cheating and lying and scheming and all kinds of other things.
And God made all of us. God made all of us. God loved all of us equally, and He says, behold, you are made in the image and the likeness of God. So if God made me, God has capacity. Why I'm made in His image and likeness? Why don't I have capacity?
That is very true.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna we're going over the 1 hour. I just wanted to pull out a couple more comments because I think we could go on and on and on about this, but we'll have to save something for next week. I just want to pull out this comment by Maurice. He says, our society tends to instill in people that it's not even possible to fall in love with two people at the same time. Live your life, and what is best for you. Do what is best for you.
I think Maurice said it very well. And with this whole experience that we've all gone through worldwide with COVID, there is such an importance of the power is now. The power to love is now. The power to do what you want, achieve your dreams, you only have now. So you need to do what you can do to make it great. And that is my quote for this week to all of our listeners out there. Whatever you're doing this week, make it great and make it your best. That's your quote.
The power is now. I love that.
Yes. Odette, any final closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts, the quote for the week is coming from Venus Williams, who was asked about the Naomi Osaka fiasco with her having to pull out and saying that she wouldn't do any news conferences and everybody was tumbling all over her. And Venus Williams said, for me personally, how I deal with it is that I know every single person asking me a question can't play as well as I can, and they never will. So no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you write, you will never light a candle to me. And that is important for me because I host a program Beyond the Headlines on GBN every Monday night. And there's some very wicked, nasty people who just come there to be nasty. There's one called Tom Ortega. I want him to know if he's listening or somebody could get a message to him. I see him, I hear him, but I just want him to know, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what you write, you will never light a candle to me. Venus Williams, 2021.
Love it. Love
Amen.
it.
Love it.
This has been a great show, guys. Hermelyn, you have any other closing thoughts?
Oh, well, my closing thoughts is what I talk about in my group all the time, to redefine yourself. Do not let others define who you are. Do not accept their definition. Redefine yourself.
Absolutely right. Well, this is a wrap, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bye. We will see you next week, same time, 5 o'clock. Be there. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Bye, Debbie. Wendy, Veronica, Samantha. Bye, Maurice.
Hey, thank you for watching. Join us again next week.
Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone can get COVID-19.
Anyone can get the vaccine to defeat COVID-19.
What's your choice?
Take your best shot.
Get vax. It's your best shot. Hello.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Are you fed up of your mask or your foggy face shield? Introducing the Fashion Shield from callallpronow.com. Keep your hairdo intact, your makeup flawless, and be fully protected. Get the Fashion Shield now. Call 516-387-4246 or visit callallpronow.com.
Keeping you updated with the latest news, views, and interviews.
News, views, and interviews
from around the world.
This is the Top 5.
Top 5. Top 5. Top 5.